You didn't start your business to feel trapped by it. But if you're white-knuckling your way through each week, burnout isn't just knocking, it's already inside. Welcome to Female Founder Unplugged, the show where we cut through the noise and have a real, raw conversation about what it takes to build and scale a successful business as a female entrepreneur. I'm Lindsay White, people strategy expert, leadership coach, and fellow founder. And I know firsthand the challenges of scaling sustainably and staying connected to your passion along the way. This podcast is for ambitious women just like you, seasoned founders and CEOs navigating the challenges of leadership, team building, and sustainable growth. In each episode, we'll dive into those topics that are most important to you as a female founder. You'll hear honest, no BS conversations about building, growing, and leading a team and culture so that you can grow without losing yourself in the process. Because let's be real, entrepreneurship can feel isolating, and leadership doesn't come with a roadmap. If you've ever struggled with the pressure of running a business, felt overwhelmed by growing your team, or wondered, how do I scale without sacrificing my vision and my purpose, you're in the right place. Let's get unplugged. Hello, my friend. Welcome to Female Founder Unplugged. I'm your host, Lindsay White, and I'm excited to get into this topic of burnout with you this week. Let's talk about how you can stop white-knuckling in your business. And if you've ever found yourself lying awake at 3 a.m., wondering how much longer you can keep going, know that I see you. Know that I am you. I have absolutely had that experience. And burnout doesn't just look like crashing and burning. It doesn't just look like complete exhaustion and total abject failure. Sometimes it looks like you killing it on the outside, but crumbling on the inside. Let me tell you a little story. I hit the wall a couple years ago. I remember standing in my kitchen. I was holding my coffee, was here alone. And I felt like I had built something that I really loved. I work with clients that I feel deeply passionate about, but I absolutely hated the way it made me feel. I was overwhelmed. I was feeling so exhausted. I was feeling like everything was really hard and heavy. And it was a feeling that I deeply, deeply disliked. And I felt very torn because I had this deep passion and I feel like I'm on such an important mission. But on the inside, it just felt awful. So most importantly, I think many of you have had this experience and know that you are absolutely not alone. And you don't have to live like this. This is no way for you to be. By the end of this episode, you're going to walk away with my burnout bounce back framework, which is your first step towards taking your power back, towards really examining what is happening for you and to you and because of you, so that you can find a space of recovery. Awesome. So maybe you're in a place where your revenue is growing, your calendar is full, you're working with some great clients, and your team looks great on paper. But you're finding yourself feeling very resentful, very joyless, very unfulfilled, and depleted. Burnout doesn't always look like collapse. Sometimes it looks like you're really white-knuckling, or what I like to say, redlining your way through your business. And it's just something that you no longer recognize and you know you can't sustain. And when I say white-knuckling, I mean like you've got your hand on the wheel of the business. You are gripped so tight, you don't know if you can let go. And it is exhausting. The other way I like to describe it is redlining. So I have a lot of clients that are used to working at such high energy levels. They're working at such high RPMs, like your tachometer on your car, that when they do have time to step away, they can't bring the RPMs down. They don't know how to rest with intention. They don't know how to relax with purpose. And both of those things are indications that you're on your way to burnout. So here is the strategy, the steps that I teach every one of my clients. So love it if you would follow along today. First and foremost, we always go right back to values and purpose. So when I have a client that I know is reaching burnout, and a lot of times that's when they actually come to me, is that they are struggling personally and professionally, and they know it's impacting their business. So the first thing we do is talk about their values. What do they care about the most? Those are things that are absolutely key to us as individuals. They're also things we carry into our business. So I'll give you an example. The value of family. Many of us have that value. Our families are really important to us. Now, we might define the family differently depending on different people and different circumstances. But when we think about family, we need to think about, why is that important to us? Well, generally, it's because those are the people we care about the most in the world, and those are the people that care about us no matter what. Well, how do we have more time and space for that? How do we need to look at our life and our business as part of that life so that we can make sure that we are living that family value? We are doing the things every day that bring that family value to life. We also need to think about, what's our purpose? What are we doing here? And I don't just mean your purpose in your business. And I certainly don't mean that your purpose is to raise your children. I mean, what are you here for? Why are you on this planet? What are you here to do or change or make? And when we can get really clear on what our values are and what our purpose is, then that really enables us to have a firm foundation to think about how we're living today. And also, it gives us a pretty clear indication of where the burnout is coming from. And quite honestly, it is very frequently because we are not living and doing in a way that aligns with our most important values, and we are not living and aligning with our purpose. And that's where we get burnt out, because the things we're doing are really sucking on our energy. So we need to think about, what are we actually building? What does success feel like? Not just what it looks like on Instagram. This isn't the highlight reel. This is real life. And when we can get clear on that and we can have more of it, that's when we start to feel really aligned and fulfilled, and it beats the burnout. This is exactly the kind of work we do in the LPC Accelerator program, because of course the L stands for leadership. And if we're not working on ourselves as a leader, if we're not preparing ourselves to lead at that next level, to be the CEO in our own business, we are not doing our business any favors. So if you are ready to do this work and you are ready for a program where you get to do some one-on-one, have some great strategies, find the right tools, and be a part of the right community, the LPC Accelerator might be the right program for you. Registration is open now. You can check out all of the great details in the link below and send me a DM if you have any questions. The second thing then, the next step, is to actually think about our boundaries. And if you think about it, a lot of us, I hear this almost weekly. I don't have good boundaries. I can't keep my boundaries, right? I hear that from so many women. When we have a really clear picture of what our values are and how we live them, when we're clear on our purpose and what that calling is for us, then we need to create boundaries to protect that. So that really is like having a fence around our values and our purpose. And when we are clear about those boundaries, about that fence, then we can start to really see where things are compromising that boundary, whether it's other people in our lives, other things in our business, other things in our community, right? We can really start to understand, where's our boundary being compromised? Where are we leaking energy? Where are we giving space and time and capacity to where we shouldn't be? Where do we keep saying yes where we should be saying no? So this allows us to make space as we try and make progress against our burnout. That's why boundaries are step number 2. And then, of course, we can get to step number 3, which is where we can get really tactical. We can start to think about our strategic leadership, that we use, how we use our time so that we're effective. And let me be clear, this is not a luxury. Leading ourselves and managing our time is not a luxury. It is about putting our own oxygen mask on first. We cannot lead effectively if we are running around Mach 5 with our hair on fire. It doesn't work. So we need to think about how we leverage our time every week so that we are honoring our values. So where's our family time? Where's our time we spend in community? All of those things. That's how we live those values. And then how are we blocking time in our business so that we can actually be an effective CEO, right? So this means time when there's no delivery, no clients, where we can focus on building our business. We can do the work of the growth and the strategy, the vision, right? So working on our business, not in our business. And that is really critical when we can line up where do we need time for the things that are important in our life, the things we value most? And how are we blocking and using time to be effective in our business? That's when we can be truly, really intentional with our capacity. And that is what helps us step away from that space of burnout. So here's the things that are important to take with you. You don't need to be more disciplined. You likely need more support. And you don't need a nap. Well, maybe you need a nap, let's be honest. But what you do is you need a system that honors your energy. And I'll tell you, I've done a lot of this work over the last 2 years as I've really tried to manage my energy so I don't creep right back up to that burnout space. And really listening to my body, what do I need to do? Because you know what? It's not about pushing through in those moments where your body, where your intuition says, I need a rest. You gotta rest, right? And most importantly, leadership starts with you. It's how you lead yourself. You are setting the tone, not just in your business for the people that work for you. You're also setting the tone for the people around you. And sometimes, most importantly, it can be your kids. It can be those people in your community that can be compromised. You need to show up and lead. And you need to lead yourself so that others can see you as the example that you are. And I think that's what's really critical here is that we need to lead ourselves first. So the most important move I've made in my own business, I've blocked out 2 sacred hours every Monday morning. This is my CEO time, okay? When I enter into the week and I have no meetings to start my Monday, no admin, just space to think and plan and really consider how I need to show up in this week, in this 5 days. That has been really critical to me. And I'll tell you, it's absolutely changed everything. Now, it doesn't need to be Monday. You've got to manage your energy the way it is meaningful for you. I have a client who likes to do this on Friday. She likes to wrap up all her work at noon and have lunch. And then at 1 o'clock, she likes to do a checkout and a plan for the new week. It's whatever is going to serve you best. But it is about being thoughtful and intentional. And I will tell you, this is absolutely a powerful leadership move. So, some key takeaways for you. Burnout is not your fault, but the recovery from it is absolutely your responsibility. Again, leadership power move. Understanding where your burnout is coming from, doing the work to recover from the burnout so you can lead more effectively. That comes from understanding your values, your purpose, creating the boundaries to protect those, and then in a very tactical way, creating the calendar that you control so that you actually have the time and the space to do those things. And if you're saying in your head right now, Lindsay, you're insane, I don't have time for that, then the next move is to start to think about how are you going to resource the activities that actually aren't serving you. And that's going to be our next episode. So stay tuned. Most importantly, you are the energetic center of your business. Let me say that again. You are the energetic center of your business, and you need to protect yourself like the asset that you are. And that's what's really key to take away here today is that if you aren't happy and fulfilled and energized, then how do you expect your team to be that? How do you expect your business to be that? So I hope that you've taken away some really great, thoughtful things that you want to go back and look at your calendar and you want to examine your values. And maybe you know that boundaries aren't really your jam. So I hope that this episode today really inspires you to think about where you're at and how your burnout might look different. And so what have I got for you to take away? I'm going to give you an opportunity to download this Burnout Bounce Back framework with these 3 steps. And I'll include some of the questions we've talked about today and some activities that you might want to think about. And along with that, what I have got for you is my recovery checklist, some things that you may want to try, and you pick the ones that work for you, to help you recover from burnout, if that's where you're at, if you're feeling the burn. So we'll have that available for you in the show notes, or if you follow me on Instagram, send me a DM or in the comments, put the word bounce, and I will send that to you, that recovery checklist, along with the bounce back framework. So if you have really enjoyed this episode, what I'd love you to do is share this with a friend, because we all know someone who is face on the glass, pressed up, watching, seeing right there with burnout. They're not quite there, but man, they're really close. Share this episode with one of your business besties, with one of your good friends, with someone who you do work with, you partner with, so that they can start to think about where they're at with their burnout, and how they might want to start their recovery. Awesome. Okay, well, until next time, lead with heart, grow with purpose, and stay high voltage. Thanks for tuning into this episode of Female Founder Unplugged. If today's conversation resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Connect with me on Instagram at High Volt Leadership and send me your questions or let me know your biggest takeaway. Looking for more strategies on scaling your business, building a powerhouse team, or leading with confidence? Head over to highvoltageleadership.ca or follow me on LinkedIn for exclusive content, resources, and special offers just for listeners. Until next time, keep leading, keep learning, and remember, the real magic happens when you're unplugged.